questions, but we will ask one question, and every candidate will get a chance to answer that one question. And we will start with different districts. So I would advise you to write the question down, if need be, but you are more than welcome to ask us to repeat the question, simply because it's a lot of you guys. And once again, thank you for taking your civic duty to the next level and even running for the positions that you're running for. I am one of the moderators, and at this time I will introduce our other moderator, our host pastor, Pastor Doug Brown. Are we ready? I told Pastor Brown that if I got the opportunity, I would do what they do on the boxing match when they announce the boxers and they will holler out, "Let's get ready to rumble." But I will say that for last. Hey, all right, let's get started. We will start with District 6, and the first question that we have tonight for District 6, and we'll start with you, Dr. Davis, and we'll just go in order. Oh. If you would, just all of you guys, for 1 minute, real quickly, just give us a brief introduction of yourselves.
Thank you, Pastor. Dr. Brown, thank you all so much. My name is Daryl Davis. I am a native of Fort Worth. I am the dad of Taylor and Gavin Davis. I am the brother of 5 sisters. Most importantly, I serve as the Vice President of Workforce and Career Development for Upspire, which is a social enterprise that removes barriers of employment to those who tend to have barriers to stable employment. I'm also the board president in Crowley Independent School District. I am in the last few months of my term here on the board, and I'm glad to be with you all here tonight. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Mia Hall, and I am a proud resident of District 6. I've lived here for more than 20 years. My husband and I have raised our family here. We operate a small business in this community. I have served as an educator, and I've served as a zoning commissioner under our current administration with Councilman Williams. I'm a volunteer, and I am also a trustee at the Crowley ISD, Crowley Independent School District, where I've served as president, vice president, and trustee for the last 10 years. I want to thank the Baptist Ministers Union for hosting us tonight. I look forward to the conversation, and I look forward to earning your vote. Mia Hall for District 6.
Good evening. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out and doing what democracy is. It is the process of those who come and participate and vote in this form of government. That is democracy as defined. And I am Marshall Hobbs. I was a former trainer auditor for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the first African American to serve in that position over the Dallas-Fort Worth region. I am a veteran in the Army, retired, and I also am a professor at several colleges and universities here in the Fort Worth area teaching government. I am very excited to share with you my vision for District 6, so thank you.
Greetings to everyone. Thank you all first and foremost for coming out on tonight, taking the time to come out and be a part of this, what we're doing here tonight. My name is Adrian Devine Smith. I am a native of Fort Worth, an Army veteran, and I'm currently employed with the federal government. Since 2021, I have been a presence, a voice, and an advocate for everything that's Fort Worth. And it has been a combination of just being down at City Hall, speaking to the issues that are important to our livelihood. So hopefully when we get through this process, you all will just learn a little more about me. Again, Adrian Devine Smith, hoping to be the next District 6 City Council representative. Again, thank you all for coming out.
Hi, my name is Willoughby in District 5. I'm one of 2 candidates, it's not an incumbent, that have ran for office. I've ran 4 or 5 times in my district, so many times I forgot. But anyway, what I'm tired of seeing that I've done this for These candidates, they come and they go. They're there during election time. I don't see them at City Hall between election times or afterwards. They're gone. I've seen it over and over, but I'm still there. What I'm doing is I'm tired of words. Action speaks louder than words. I'm offering the candidates in my district, some I'm approaching them. I'm offering $100 to take from my campaign funds and give to theirs if they'll answer 5 questions. Okay? That is the premise of the council member's job, is to answer questions. If they can't answer these questions, they don't need to be a council member. So I'm gonna see how many, some that took it up and some that declined, okay? And we'll do a green screen, we'll do a video, it'll be on Facebook and everywhere. So, okay, we're gonna hold it at the studio and record their 5 questions. I hope you tune in and see on my website, fwdistrict5.com. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marvin Jose Diaz. That's what my mom called me when she was upset at me in her native language. Some people call me Marvin, some people call me Marvin the Martian, but unlike my colleagues here, this is my first exploration into civic duty. I've really spent most of my life in private industry. I'm an aviation kind of guy. I started flying airplanes at 17. I've spent 26 years at the world's largest airline as a financial controller. The financial controller is a guy that sits down with the management team, builds the budget, and looks at every penny, and are we spending the money wisely, and what are the projects we want to work on. So I hope to share my private industry experiences with the district, with my fellow citizens of District 5, and hope to answer some questions tonight. Peoples?
Thank you. My name is Deborah Peoples, and first I am grateful to the Baptist Ministers Union for hosting this tonight. And then I'll start by saying I know almost everybody in this audience because I have spent my life in this community working to improve the lives of all of our residents, and I'm running to continue that work. So I am excited for the dialogue that's going to go on tonight, and I look forward to having a lively exchange. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Kelleher, and I'm running for Fort Worth City Council, District 5. I've lived in District 5 for almost 30 years now, and I love that it's really a one-of-a-kind district. My journey into public service began in 2010 when flooding caused by overdevelopment devastated my farm and the property, other people's property along Randall Mill and Trinity River. That tragedy, though, drove me to fight for better planning and especially transparency in local government. I've served you for 8 years on the board of the Tarrant Regional Water District, and I stood up to corruption and advocated for responsible development. When elected, I'll use common sense to prioritize zoning, public safety, and better services for our district and city. Like I am on the Water District, I'll always be available to listen to the citizens' concerns and work together to make District 5 and the city of Fort Worth a better place to live. Thank you.
Hello, how everybody doing this evening? My name is Kendall Barnes Jr., a resident of District 5. Been an Eastside resident since 2001. Currently running for District 5. I've been advocating for my community since 2005 when I first started attending city council meetings at the age of 14. So I'm real passionate about this. It's something it's in me, it's not on me. So currently, I'm a local business owner. I also work as a support staff, corporate support staff for 24 Hour Fitness. A father of 6, of new twins, so it's I'm new to getting used to. Also, I'm passionate about this. I'm real passionate about this. I'm trying to bring real equity and inclusion to District 5 for all residents of District 5, not just certain areas of District 5, but all residents. That's why one of the main reasons I'm running for District 5. Thank you.
Pastor Michael Moore. I pastor New Bethel Completing Christ Church here in our city. I've been a pastor of that church for now 33 years. I also serve as neighborhood president for the historic Stop 6 Neighborhood Association. I have served on the Landmark Commission as a commissioner. I presently serve on the Parks and Recreation Board. I'm running because the work of District 5 is important, and it requires passion, and I think it requires someone who has boots on the ground. And so I look forward to dialoguing with you tonight, learning a little bit more about what the needs of this community are so that we can help to address those needs. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Arthur McCoy Jr. I actually live in District 8. First of all, I really have a passion about what's going on in District 8, and it really gives me a joy to even just be sitting up here tonight. I'm looking forward to answering your questions, and that's all I have at this time.
Hi, everyone. My name is Peyton Jackson. I'll keep this short. I am just a concerned citizen, a concerned neighbor in District 8. That's it.
Check, check. Hi, I am Councilman Chris Nettles, your current representative in the city of Fort Worth for District 8. Some of you are shocked. I'm shocked as well to have these two opponents. One who's a friend of ours, as well as one that used to work for the campaign. But let me tell you why it's important that you send me back to City Hall. What we have done in the last 4 years is, number one, we have raised the minimum wage from $14 to $18. We have also lowered the tax rate consecutively 3 times in a year, 3 times each year. We have also raised up the homestead exemption. I was able to bring 1,500 jobs to District 8, ranging $60,000 a year. Also building 2,200 affordable housing in District 8. I am your man downtown. I am your representative, and I will advocate for you every single day as I has done for the last 4 years. Send me back to City Hall, and let's keep doing the work that we need to do. Thank you.
Save your applause. Starting with District 6. We always start in this order, so it won't be any confusion. What inspired you to run for City Council, and what specific experiences make you the best candidate for this role? Dr. Davis.
So again, my life has been one of service. It has been a calling, it has been a passion that I have demonstrated all of my adult life. Again, my career is one of service. The service that I render on the Crowley ISD School Board is a labor of love, and it is out of sacrifice that I do what it is that we do on the school board for the benefit of the more than 17,000 students, 2,500 faculty and staff members that reside in the 55 square miles of Crowley ISD. What inspired me to run for service is simply the Word of God. The Bible tells us that it is our reasonable service when we yield ourselves as a living sacrifice. And I've always known, particularly as an adult, that my life was not my own, that I was called to be a blessing to the community that has given so much to me. And so as I look over the last 3 years of my service on the Crowley School Board, I am now compelled to elevate that service by serving as your next District 6 representative.
Thank you. I have always wanted to be a servant to my community. I attended the University of Texas at Austin because I wanted to be a government major. I always wanted to be a politician, not for vanity, but for any other reason than to serve my community. My work has always been centered on families, women, and children, and I have served as an educator. My experience as an educator has given me an opportunity to learn how to make a difference for those families and how important it is to leverage partnerships and communities and how to impact change through policy. As a trustee on the Crowley ISD School Board, and the reason I ran is because I wanted to change the schools in my community. And I set goals to do that, and I set out to do that, and I've completed those goals over my 10 years of service. So I feel that my experience as a policy director for the Fort Worth Independent School District, as a board trustee for the Crowley Independent School District, and as a consummate volunteer and educator in our community, that I'm prepared and capable and have the capacity to do this role for the citizens of District 6.
I have been involved in the city of Fort Worth since 1984. After coming back from the military, active duty, I have served as a precinct chair on both sides of the aisle. I consider myself as a victocrat, a victim of both parties. So therefore, I have served for Mayor Boland. I've served for Kay Granger on both the Community Development Council as well as the Youth Commission, which did a study on why youth use drugs and participate in gangs in 1989 for Mr. Boland. And out of that came Weed and Seed. It came Code Blue, as well as the Uplift program for the Boys and Girls Club. And I've also served over the last few years in government by helping and consulting others.
So what inspired me to run for city council? Again, I forgot to let the people know when I first spoke that I always state that I am one with the people. It starts with the people first and foremost. It starts with each of you. And then I like to add that the people are the power for change. The council, those who we elect are just the figureheads, the mouthpieces, the ones who we go to carry out that in which we desire. So my desire to serve, what inspired me was the people. That of the people, want to do right by the people, because I don't like what we see, what we have downtown currently, in the mayor or anyone elected. So I feel like I can be a difference maker, and I have been doing this since 2021. Everything I've done up until this point is archived in City Hall. So I'm just trying to take it to the next level. And again, it's for the people. It's not about me.
I'm Willoughby. I'm running because I got involved about 10 years ago, and I found out how bad it was downtown. It's terrible how our council is. And that. The reason why I'm more fitted for this job, I've been to bond meetings, budget meetings, council meetings. That's for the job. I don't care about these other jobs these people had. They hadn't been to city council meetings. And none of them came down here and spoke about our free speech that got taken away. Now, I was a big supporter of Chris when he used to support us for free speech, but he changed lately. He don't think you should have free speech. He voted against it. So, challenge me anytime you want to, Chris, in public. I'll take it.
Remember, don't make it personal. State your agenda. Keep it clean.
Just fact.
Ready, Ms. Gayton? Go. As I mentioned before, I was in private industry for many, many years, but really what's convinced me to get out of my shell at home and after I retired after 26 years with the world's largest airline and went and worked for the United States Small Business Administration. You've all heard of FEMA, right? FEMA's the one that gets all the airtime on the TV, and they're the ones out helping with people that got hit by hurricanes and wildfires and floods. The SBA is the one that gives the loans to the people who have gone through all these natural disasters. I spent 4 years, in the last 4 years, speaking directly with people that got hit by hurricanes in southwest Louisiana, people that got burned out in California. So you develop a lot of empathy, and you develop a lot of persistence in getting help out to the folks that really need it. So I really believe that I have a good sense of persistence and empathy for all the things that we got to get done in the city of Fort Worth.
So I run because I have a passion for service. And I believe that many times here in the city of Fort Worth and in Tarrant County, the voices of the residents and our needs are not being met. I understand business, having retired as a vice president at AT&T, but I also understand government, having served as chair of the Tarrant County Democratic Party for 9 years. Downtown is working hard to be sure that our needs are not met. They are determined to control the city council, and I am determined that the residents will control the city council.
I ran because I got mad. My property flooded due to overdevelopment and irresponsible development. I called the city for help. I called every official I could think of. You know how many called me back? None, not one. I had the opportunity to run for the Tarrant Regional Water District. I did. I served the people for 8 years. I return every call, every text, every email. I'm there to serve, and that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm in District 5.
Well, I decided to run because I see the disparities that's going on in District 5. It's so much lack of inclusion and equity going on in District 5. Every voice is not being heard in District 5. And I believe I can change that by including everyone. That's one of my main reasons why I decided to run for District 5 is include everyone, have better equity and inclusion. That's one of my top main reasons to run for this current election in this seat.
Community revitalization, creating safe communities, improving the parks, creating opportunity. That's why I'm running for District 5. My community has been economically left behind. Our community needs community revitalization. Our parks need to be improved and made better. That's work that needs to happen in District 5 to make our communities safe. I live in a community where you may hear random gunshots in the middle of the night. It's not people shooting at each other, it's just people who don't respect the community. So we need to create a safe community. We need to create a community of opportunity. We need to create a community where community revitalization, development, smart development takes place. And you need to put me on that seat so that I can make sure that these things happen in District 5.
So now we talk about District 8. You know, I've actually lived in District 8 since 2020. I'm actually a product of District 5. But you know, when we start talking about the works that have been done in District 8, I hear statistics. I live at 1208 Stella Street. I walk outside my front door, I see homeless people everywhere. I go around the corner to Bessie Street, it's a whole nother situation going there. So when we talk about cleaning up the community, that community hadn't been cleaned up. So you can sit here and clap all you want to. You can sit here and do all the little cheers that you want to. But I'm telling you right now, District 8 will only get fixed by relationships, by restoring those relationships. I hear crickets.
Time.
You got me ready to vote for you. Wait a second. I think there's a million reasons for me to run. A million reasons. But I think originally when I got the idea was when I was informed that I had a warrant out for my arrest for code compliance. A tree branch. A tree branch. Not only charged me $800, but put a warrant out for my arrest over something as simple as a tree branch. And I've tried to work with the current administration. It just is not possible unless he wants to see something done, unless you're a friend of his, or unless you got something in exchange, it won't get done. So I've tried. But yes, I have a million reasons to run. But I have 6 main policies, and you can find them on www.notaxingwithjackson.com.
I started to run in 2017. I ran because Jacqueline Craig, our dear friend, God rest her soul, was mishandled by the Forward Police Department. And that's why I got into public office. I then ran for District 8 because when we looked at I-35, it was a deciding factor. So much development was happening on west of 35, 7th Street, South Main, Magnolia. And we look on the east side of District 8, was nothing happening. And so I ran for District 8. Since I have been elected, I have brought $80 million to Evans and Rosedale, getting ready to do a groundbreaking at the end of this year, beginning of next year, for the Evans and Rosedale. Also, I dedicated a Southside Community Center for the National Juneteenth Museum, which is also going to bring $80 million. I'm not just sitting here twiddling my toes, twiddling my thumbs. I'm actually doing the work for the Fort Worth City Council, and I also ran to be an advocate, and you guys know that I'm advocating for you every day. Thank you.
All right, question number 2, and we'll start with District 8 with Councilman Nettles. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing your district, and how do you plan to address them?
There's a number of issues that's facing the city of Fort Worth. One is the housing crisis. So many people are moving to Fort Worth, and we don't have affordability for these residents to move here, and they're being displaced. The second thing is crime. We have a raging gun violence that is continuing to happen. Now, violence is down in Fort Worth, but we have senseless gun violence, and we was at a press conference today. So working with our police department, working with VIP Fort Worth, working with other organizations to make sure that we can get the word out that we must stop this gun violence here in the city of Fort Worth. It's not COVID-19 that's killing people. It's simply these guns in our streets. Those are things that are pressing, not just in District 8, but all over the city of Fort Worth.
The number one issue, besides the fact that our kids can't read, I would say is the homelessness issue. I went down Lancaster just yesterday, and it's getting worse. And our administration will say that we're doing permanent supportive housing, but it's been shown that that does not work. So within my administration, I plan to introduce a mandatory work program. Any able-bodied person will be expected to get up and get to work. There will be no urban camping allowed under my administration. That's the number one issue that I see facing our community outside of course, our kids not reading on grade level.
Well, you know what? I can't agree with Councilman Nettles on the housing crisis. I mean, it's a severe issue. It is. But also, there's also a severe issue of homelessness. But there's also another severe issue of kids not understanding how to read. So if you can't read, then your comprehension is bad. And if your comprehension is bad, that's going to cause gun violence. So my plan is to actually have programs with these ministers and these churches to bring back kids to the church so we can get some understanding. That's the main thing. The church is the center core of District 8 in every district in this community. So we got to bring our kids back to the churches.
If you are in need of a card to fill out to answer questions for the audience, please lift your hand.
The number one concern in my district is access to opportunity. I think what we look at when we see low-performing grades, kids not being able to read, that's access to opportunity that I think is not to be laid at the feet of the school board alone. I think the city has a role, but I think the community does as well. So I think what I would want to emphasize as a council member is how do we as a community come together and help ourselves? Because that's what makes this position possible, is that we represent you. And so what I want to do is get in the community and listen to the constituents. And let's put the problems on the table, and let's see how we can create access to opportunity. How can we create a safe environment? How can we take trauma and toxicity out of our communities? And so I think that... Time. Oh, okay, thank you.
One of the issues I believe District 5 is facing is lack of community resources in District 5 and lack of funding in District 5. with community initiatives. And one of my goals and plans and priorities as your next District 5 City Councilman is implementing more city-funded programs that's really gonna benefit the community. Not certain areas of the community, but the entire community. And I believe we lack that with funding, and we're not getting a piece of the pie when it comes to physical budgeting and all this stuff like that. And one of my things is creating a community task force, also some after-school programs and different things like that that's gonna really benefit the entire community of District 5, not just certain areas of District 5, but the entire community. We need inclusion. Everybody needs inclusion, and I believe we lack resources, and one of my goals is bring more funding to District 5 and make sure we get a piece of the pie when the fiscal budget is drafted up.
Besides lack of basic infrastructure and homelessness that District 5 has, District 5 lacks amenities and services that other districts in Fort Worth take for granted. So I would love to work together with proven, responsible developers to try to bring more services to all of District 5.
So it's not what I think, it's what you all think. I've been holding listening sessions around District 5, and this little thing is becoming famous because what you have told me in District 5, the top 3 issues are taxes, public safety, and economic development. That means creating well-paying jobs for the residents and also the creation and luring businesses to the area. So again, I tell you that I will work to make sure those things, we take care of those things, because City Hall should not pick our representative. The citizens and residents of District 5 should do that.
Again, what I think is the most pressing issue in District 5, in the last 3 years I've been involved personally with getting Trinity Boulevard cleaned up, and I live way out in far east of District 5. And when I got started, half the lights were out, we had potholes, we had trees growing out of the bridges, we had lack of police presence. So I think that everyone in District 5 will agree that we need safe and clean neighborhoods. There are a lot of broader issues, but the things that impact us every day is the fact that we see things and nothing gets done. So obviously the city doesn't have all the resources to be proactive, so we have to be on the lookout, and we have to bring stuff to the city's attention. We have to work with the HOAs, have town hall meetings, and decide on what are the priorities. How do we keep the city clean? How do we get our neighbors to mow their yards, whether you're an industrial park or a house? But well, we all need to get involved and make sure we have a safe and clean neighborhood. Thank you.
I don't think that's okay. Thank you, though. I like yours too. Well, I'll tell you what this city needs more than ever right now. The mayor is a tree of the city, okay? Matthew 12, verse 33. If the tree is good, it'll bear good fruit. If the tree's corrupt, it'll bear corrupt fruit. We have a corrupt city council and mayor, okay? That's no lie, that's fact. That's not a hit. Okay, well, here's the problem. Without a real mayor that'll work for us, we can't get none of this stuff done. That's where it starts at right there. Crime, homeless, all that. It starts with the mayor downtown, and what we have to do is hold them accountable. It don't matter who we put in office, but we don't hold them accountable. I do. Go to my website, FW District 5. You'll see how many times I've chased them around the building down there. That's embarrassing for them. We got to hold them accountable, no matter who's there. Most of y'all can't vote for me. I'm here because I live in this city. It needs a mayor first above all, and we need people to answer questions. Candidates that don't answer questions, I don't care if you're your mother. Don't vote for them.
The question, what do you see as the most pressing issues facing your district, and how do you plan to address them?
It's never going to be muted, so just talk into it.
There you go. I got the light now. So there is no most pressing issue, because you have to realize a district is composed of various communities within a district. So every community within the district has its own things of importance. So there's no one pressing issue. The thing is, though, however, the people are not part of the decision-making process. See, you all's vote, it gets taken for granted. We put people in office, and they take you for granted. So the most pressing issue is, what can we do to get the people more involved in the process as it relates to our livelihoods, ensuring that decisions that are made on behalf of our livelihoods reflect our livelihoods, and not the individual who sits in a seat who are just self-serving. Thank you.
My life has been of service. Coming out of the military has been in service, working for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a parole officer, juvenile and adult, has been service. I've served on boards and commissions. So what is the most pressing issue? You see, democracy is the rule of the people through participation by voting, which you're doing right now. You're participating and you're about to go out and make a vote. My first priority is to instruct the city staff and my staff to create a strategic planning session so that we can be able to find out in the majority what the district wants. But as I go through the community and speaking in Como, the first thing is to cut your taxes, because for the elderly to pay taxes on a home.
Time.
So what I love most about District 6 is the diversity of District 6. And like my colleague said, the priorities of 6 are pretty much rooted in where you reside. And so after speaking to constituents across 6, my priorities have been keeping neighborhoods safe. I hear the indiscriminate gunshots at night. Our infrastructure, whether you live in a new development, it's a beautiful development, but we don't have the traffic mitigation or the stop signs or the things that we need to make sure that we can traverse here and go. And then we also have issues with city services. As we continue to expand District 6, the response time for even our first responders is longer for those of us who live further south. And then I think economic development. I'm not immune to the car washes that we see, the liquor stores that are starting to proliferate our communities. So depending on where you reside in 6 or what your priorities would be, and I will continue to speak to the constituents of District 6 so that we can serve and answer those priorities.
So one of the most pressing issues that I believe that is present in District 6, and I think that it is important for us to make sure that we are listening to the voices of the people. Part of the reason that I am so burdened by the need to serve in this capacity is because we need advocates. We need advocates who are, number one, willing to not push their own agendas, not willing to prioritize political gains and advancement over the needs of the people, but are really intentional about listening to the voices of the people. And so as I've been talking with residents throughout the district, there are 3 things that have continued to be lifted up. One is safe neighborhoods. I agree that we have a traffic issue here in District 6. And so we need to make sure that our streets are safe, that children are able to walk through the streets and not be run over by a car when they're riding a scooter. We also need to make sure that we are safe on development.
Well, we want to make sure we have community engagement, so we're going to pause for just a second and hear from the audience. There are a couple questions. We'll ask one question each from these 2 gentlemen, and we'll start back with you, Mr. Davis. And this is a question from the audience.
Good evening, candidates. We have a question from the audience, and we had lots of engagement tonight. Really good, great audience tonight. Lots of questions. So if we don't get to all of your questions, hey, your candidates are here, you can ask them. But we're going to get to as many as we can. First question is, how have you previously lobbied for change in your district? And will you continue if not elected this term?
Dr. Davis, and listen, we want to get these people out of here before tomorrow. So the audience questions, you got 30 seconds.
So one of the major things that I've been able to do since I've served on the Crowley ISD School Board was to ensure that our paraprofessionals received a fair pay. When I came into the district, they were making $12.19 an hour. And that was acceptable prior to me challenging the district administration to say, we need to do more. These are residents in our community. We need to make sure that they make more money. And so as a result, I advocated for a minimum $15 per hour pay increase, and we were able to do that even in the face of economic shortfalls.
Thank you.
During my service as a zoning commissioner for District 6, a lot of the zoning requests that we saw were for car washes. We were having a car wash pop up on every single corner, available corner in District 6. With the work and the partnership, and of course under the leadership of Councilman Williams, we were able to institute a city ordinance that would not allow car washes to be by right because of certain zoning, and that we would be able to make decisions when those applications were made. So I would say that most of my lobbying has been since that service with zoning, and I have learned how to be a voice for our community and for our developments.
Thank you.
I served for Mayor Odom in Arlington, and he allowed me the opportunity to facilitate the strategic planning that created the veranda. So therefore, in our district, I will work with those on the council in order to try to bring businesses into the area to broaden the tax base so that I can cut taxes on those homeowners that have houses that are built that are $300,000, increasing their value, therefore not decreasing their taxes.
How I have prioritized change for the district. Well, let's just talk about the city. This right here, this is wasteful spending. I know a lot of you haven't seen this, but this is called a mayor and council's agenda. Week up on week, millions upon millions of dollars of taxpayer money
Pick that up,
gets wasted with one single vote. With one single vote, week up on week. With one single vote, without any form of discussion. That's how I have advocated for change, stopping the wasteful spending.
Well, if you're wondering how I advocated change, oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to change the question for District 5. We're going to give you a new question.
Oh, another question?
Yes, sir.
All ready for that one. Jeez. Go ahead.
Pastor Emerson.
Question is, what is your plan to address economic development in the district?
To bring in economic development into the future, in our development? Well, everything goes, it's real simple. It all goes back to square one. You're not going to get anything done until you got a mayor. That's the way it goes right there, people. I've been at this for 10 years. And I have not seen anybody do to our city what Mattie Parker has done in 36 months. I've been down to council meetings. How many of y'all been to council meetings? I've been down to several of them for 10 years, okay? And what's going on now, they have took our city over and turned it into their own private thing. We don't have no council meetings. We don't have no free speech there anymore. Time? Okay, thank you. I like the other question
better. In order to bring economic development to District 5, you need to wear out your shoes. You need to go visit the people that create the economic opportunities. Where do we have empty lots? Where do we not have supermarkets? Where do we have too many car washes? And get out there and convince people that District 5 is a place to invest, that we have good employees, we have good conditions, we have good police, good fire, and good health. So you got to get out and you got to lobby for your district with the big guys.
So there are two parts to this. One is small businesses. Because we have so many young entrepreneurs, we need to do an incubator for small businesses. And it hurt my heart yesterday to talk to someone who talked about how small businesses were cut out of PPP loans by the city and large businesses got them. But then we also have to work to lure large businesses to the district. We need a grocery store. We need, and everybody says, can we get HEB? We need to try to get HEB.
Time.
District 5 has something most districts don't have, and that's a lot of developable land. but we don't have good development to come into our section, our district. So just like Deborah and Marvin said, the same thing goes. You have to hit the street and find out what people want and hit the people who can provide those services to the district.
When it comes to economic development, we got to address the big elephant in the room. Most of them areas in District 5 are rundown areas that can't attract nobody, no type of business in District 5. We got to address them issues and also eliminate the sore eyes of District 5. I call them sore eyes, rundown buildings. That's the first thing. To bring any type of development project to District 5, we got to address them issues first. We're rundown buildings and the sore eyes of District 5. So that's my plan to address them issues.
Relationship building. I think you have to advocate for your community. I think you have to improve upon the average income. Businesses are in business to make a profit. They're not going to come to a community where they're not going to turn a profit. And so we have to be willing to do what we have to do to improve the income level, and we have to build relationships with businesses that can invest for the long term and not for an immediate return on their money.
Question for District 8. How will you ensure transparency in your decision-making and policy? And how do you build trust with the community you serve?
You know, my actual background, I actually worked 10 years with the Department of Homeland Security. I was actually boots on the ground during Hurricane Katrina. You know, it's all about trust. And number one, it's all about being in the neighborhood. So if you're not in the neighborhood, how can you be trusted? If you don't have boots on the ground, how can you be trusted? So my goal is to be very proactive with everyone in District 8. And at the end of the day, I live at 1208 Stella Street. You can just knock on my door.
I will. So my plan is to increase outreach is to go door by door, which I've been doing for the past really few months, but for this race the last few weeks. But a step further than me knocking to your door is the community showing up for city council, for a school board, for a county commissioner. Like, I just left city council. There's more of you here than it is at city council, which granted tonight is important, but we have to be more proactive as a city and not just show up when somebody's shot or when something goes wrong.
You can catch me in your local grocery stores, walking the street, in your churches, in your neighborhood. I have done it every single day. You talk about transparency and accountability. Just here recently, the city council voted to elect a new city manager. Let me remind you, I was the only person that voted no on that dais. I voted no because there was not enough transparency for the city of Fort Worth. Not because I didn't agree that Mr. Chopper can do the job, because he can, but I voted no because I wanted to show you transparency. I also held a press conference, also sent out literature and communication. That's what I'm doing every single day. Thank you.
We're coming right back at you, District 8.
So District 8, Highland Hills is a neighborhood empowerment zone. What would you do to bring commercial development that enhances our community?
Number one, to bring in commercial development, we talked about that we have to bring in rooftops in order to support those developments to come in. We have been working with Southeast Inc. To bring in some developments, which is the QT that's supposed to come on 20 and Campus Drive, Oak Grove, I'm sorry. The second issue is we got to figure out how we can do a nuisance abatement. We've been working on nuisance abatement right now on the corner lot with those car wash and that club. That has been an issue before my time, and so we're going to continue to work on that issue in order to bring development. Yeah.
So I didn't know what that zone was until recently when I was applying for my permits for a duplex that I'm building. But to support commercial, what I would do is partner with local banks and credit unions to bring more rooftops and make lending for primary and secondary housing more accessible to our community, especially natives. From what I've seen these past few months, we have community members native to Fort Worth literally being pushed out, not only by gentrification, but by code compliance.
I think it's just very important to talk to that community, to really see what that community needs. I know a lot of times we start bringing situations to a community without actually talking to a community. So I think there needs to be further discussion on what the community wants. And you know, that's the only way we're going to solve issues, whether it's in District 8, District 5. I mean, we got to go talk to the community to actually see what they want.
Okay, we're coming to District 5.
There is a lot of fear amongst black and brown communities for various reasons. How will you ensure immigrants poor or low income and can't read that. People will be safe and not further criminalized?
If I understand the question, I think you want to know how to keep people safe who may be immigrants in the community?
We'll go to another question. Who asked that question? Stand up, please. We couldn't read it, but we think it's a great question. Thank you. Pretty lengthy, but do what you can.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I don't think that's something that we have answers for. I think we do pity the fact that people are having to fear for their safety and for their freedom. I hate that. But as much as I can do as a representative of this community, I fight for freedom. We're all fighting for freedom. And I think we all have to recognize that it may be our brown brothers today, but who's to say that it won't be the black brothers the next day? And so I think we all have to come together and fight for freedom.
Only way I believe we could address them issues, make sure everyone's safe in the community, is building relationships with them. Make sure they are engaged with our elected officials who represent them, and also get them a reassurance that everything gonna be okay, and just have that open dialogue with them. That's the only possible way to do that, have open dialogue with them and make sure, just show them and be committed to them, let them know they're gonna be okay within the community.
We need to show everybody in District 5, everyone in Fort Worth, compassion. And their immigration status, I mean, they're here and they're doing what they can to support their families. We need, as city council persons, to try to take it to whatever level we can to make sure these people are safe.
Carla, we need to speak up, we need to act out. We need to stand with the residents of our district. We need to advocate for those residents. And as a city council person, I will be on the line with folks, letting them know that their status matters and I want them to be safe.
Advocate
Hold your comments.
Carla, that's a tough question because my own parents were immigrants from Central America. But I think it's more important that we all are good citizens ourselves, that we all follow the rules, and we do the things that we got to do every day, because we're not just talking about applying the law discriminatively, right? That's what we want to make sure, is that we're not being singled out because of the color of our skin. So I think I always followed what my mom said, you know, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. And I think that served me well as the son of immigrant parents, but I get your point.
Well, if I understand right, it's how we get along better. One thing is clear your mind of race, gender, and party, and start looking at issues. That's one thing. The other thing is our schools. Maybe we start getting back in our schools, teaching these kids at an early age how to treat each other with respect. And when we have the Black Chamber of Commerce, we have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I hear we have an Asian Chamber of Commerce. We don't have a white Chamber of Commerce, but it don't matter. Here's my thing. Change that to north, south, east, west, and quit titling things with culture. Thank you.
We're going to change the question for you, District 6.
When you speak of your district, are you only referring to your surrounding neighborhood, or have you returned to the other areas of the district to make your presence known?
Could you rephrase the question? Could you say the question again? Could you repeat the question?
When you speak of your district, are you only referring to your surrounding neighborhood, or have you returned to the other areas to make your presence known?
I make my presence known weekly at City Hall. So I'm already in touch with the district, and I have been in touch with the district since 2021. So as it relates to the district, everything that relates to the district and our livelihoods, I've been there. I've advocated for or against. Unlike the incumbent, but hopefully that answers your question to the individual who asked. And everything I've stated is archived in City Hall.
The whole district is important. Yeah, Como is important, as well as the southern western part of the district is important. That's the reason why I want to bring us together in the strategic planning session so that we can find out what our priorities are. And that way it gives me the marching orders to do what I need to do on the city council. Understand, I'm only one vote. So therefore I have to work with others across the board in order to get the votes, in order to take care of the people of the community.
Very simply, the answer to that question is yes. Since my exploration for candidacy and this opportunity, I have been very intentional to engage the various communities or neighborhoods that make up District 6. I've attended the Como NAC meeting where I got to talk with them, and from that I've had other meetings with key stakeholders in that community. I have sent emails inviting input from all of the homeowner association presidents, and intend to invite them to a breakfast so we can have a sit down and a listening session. And so I think it's very important that we engage. It's actually the best part of campaigning, is getting to know your neighbors and getting to know what their issues are.
So if I understand the question correctly, you all were asking if we serve outside of just the district in which we are running for, and I can say without hesitation or reservation, yes. As a result of being a native of Fort Worth, I am concerned about this entire city. I can tell you about what it is that I've done to stand with our Latino community, fighting against policies like 287G. I can tell you about standing against a lot of policies and how I'm just not advocating for the people that are in District 6, but I'm advocating for the people all across this city. I live in District 6. I work in District 8. My church is in District 5. And so I'm not only concerned about the place and where I live, but I'm wanting to make sure that all of Fort Worth thrives.
All right, District 6, Mr. Davis, what are your views on community policing, and how would you improve relationships between law enforcement and residents in your district?
So I think that it's important when we talk about community policing, this is not a call for us to have more police in our communities. This is not a call for the police to tell us what to do in our communities. This is an opportunity for there to be partnership that exists both between the community and the police. And so I believe that it is imperative that our police officers strive to get to know the residents of the district, just as it's important for the residents to get to know who their beat officers are, who their MPOs are, and together we can determine what needs to happen within our community.
I agree with the sentiments of my colleague, Mr. Davis. I do believe in community policing. I think it's imperative that we have relationships between our citizens and also our police officers, and that is going to happen from communication. I've had questions about the Police Oversight Committee. I think it's important that we do have oversight, but I think we have to be just as intentional in standing up those type of organizations to make sure that we have outcomes and goals and solutions, and whether that's policy making or engaging or making recommendations to the city. So I do believe in community policing, and I also believe in the expansion of our NPO program in our city.
My career has always been in law enforcement. I have worked with youth on juvenile parole, probation, as well as adults on parole. I have the lowest recidivism rate in my career. That means that I've helped those individuals come back to the community and be productive citizens. I believe in community policing because it's very important that they are transparent and apparent in the district.
So my view on community policing, it begins with the community. You see something, say something. Everything begins with the community. Increase law enforcement patrols. Law enforcement patrols deters crime. We need a law enforcement that is proactive and not reactive to things. So that's my view on community policing. Also, to do what's necessary to ensure that the chiefs, as well as the division chiefs, know that I support their initiatives and efforts of whatever they're.
Well, when it comes to police, do I need to stop? We're going to do a different one, aren't we?
No, we're sticking with that question.
Same question.
We're sticking with that
Go
question.
then? Same one?
Yeah, same one.
I like that. Okay. When it comes to the police, it's the same thing again. We control the mayor controls, there's a pecking order, the city manager, okay? Our city manager does not oversee the police chief. I chased the police chief out of City Hall 3 times with a camera. That's terrible, okay? We don't, when it comes to it, I guess I'm getting hung up there, but really, I know what I want to say. We also have a police oversight monitor, which is a waste of time. We have programs that waste our money.
Time.
You don't get enough time to really get it. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What are your views on community policing, and how would you improve relationships between law enforcement and residents in your district?
Well, that's a good question because it's something I've worked on over the last year. How many people know their community police officer? I do. He's on my cell phone. And the guy is good enough, if I see something, I'll text him, he'll text me back. At the same time, I've got the non-emergency number on my cell phone. So it takes all of us to be the eyes and ears of the police force and be a part of the solution, right? So we all need to get out and be the eyes and ears and help the guys out. That we'll never have enough police to help us out in the neighborhoods.
As the sister of a policeman, I know what good policing looks like. I know what community policing looks like. It is not enforcement, just enforcement. It is not harassment. It is partnering and building trust and working together. And I would work with the police to be in my community to make sure that citizens are respected and their views are heard.
I totally agree with Deborah. We need to build bridges and relationships.
When it comes to community policing, the only way to address them issues is building trust with the community, and also with the residents and the NPO officers. Also, having that open line of communication and open dialogue. That's the only way we can build a relationship with them.
I think we need to make sure that the next hire is a community policy chief. I think we continue to do things together. In our community, we work with the police. We do back-to-school programs for the community. We do Easter in the park. We work with the police. The community knows the police, and the trust between the community and the police in our community is growing.
Well, I've worked 8 years at the Department of Homeland Security. It was high-level law enforcement, and the number one rule was always engage, engage, engage. So I really feel like if the community is up to the task of engaging with law enforcement, then you really shouldn't have an issue. I mean, yeah, you have those ones, but at the end of the day, it's all about engagement, communication, and that's the number one goal.
I agree. I was actually raised to kind of hate cops, but a few years ago, I independently changed that thinking. And besides from National Night Out and Shop with a Cop, Beyond the Badge, we have programs out there to meet the community in the middle. But from what I've seen, it's the community to famously quote, F the cops, which we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, but within my administration, I would love to see Academy Prep introduced as a junior or as a senior. Thank you.
I've been an advocate of community policing. I brought forward the city's Citizen Review Board. It was taking a vote. It failed 6-5. We're still working on that. I believe in activating. I appreciate our chief. I appreciate our Fort Police Department because they come to work every day to help and save lives. You have to realize that there are some bad apples in any bunch. And so I make sure that we put the pressure on our chief to make sure we have policies. Some of the issues is we have the policies, they're not enforcing those. And so those are things that we got to continue to do so we can have community policing.
Thank you. Once again, to this audience, thank you so much for being so cooperative, but as well as attentive. We have about 45 minutes left. So thank you again, and we'll take some more audience questions here in just a second. But back at District 8, what is your plan to attract new businesses and job opportunities to your district, particularly in underserved areas?
So what we have in the city of Fort Worth, we have what we call TIFs, and it allows investments to come, and we give tax breaks to companies to come. We have been doing it all over the city of Fort Worth. We have, I believe, 2 TIFs in District 8. And so we use those TIFs. We're trying to actually create another one in the Evans and Rosedale area to help bring development along Rosedale all the way to Riverside. And so working with our economic development, our current officer, Robert Stearns, is going out. And so we're going to be working with our new developer and our city manager to make sure that we put dollars into the budget to support those efforts.
So McDonald's isn't a burger company. What I've learned in my research is that McDonald's is a real estate company. And one thing that I would like to promote within our community, especially within small businesses, is how to create asset production, meaning real estate. We should own the bulk of our real estate, not BlackRock. We should be setting the averages of rent. So one thing that I would like to promote is partnering with credit unions and banks to provide that lending, but we can only go so far when we have tents set up on every other street.
Well, it starts by cleaning up District 8. I'm one myself who was actually eminent domain by the city of Fort Worth in the school district. Had a piece of property, which is now the I.M. Terrell STEM school. So, you know, we talk about of development in District 8. Really, it's all about just really making sure that those homeowners understand this. What's getting ready to come through is gentrification. So we need to equip, especially the people in the historic South Side, about gentrification.
District 5. Same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What is your plan to attract new businesses and job opportunities to your district, particularly in underserved areas?
I think that's similar to the same question about economic development, but I think it's building relationships. I think it's understanding the unique makeup of your district and what's available in your district and what needs to be prioritized in your district. And so I think you do that by having listening sessions throughout the district to make sure that you're hearing from the district so that you know how to best build relationships and advocate with the right type of development.
Thank you.
Only way I believe we can address them issues is first we got to address our aging infrastructure. That's the only way we can bring any type of economic development to our area, or address our aging infrastructure first. That's the main thing. We can't track no development to our area until we have the right infrastructure that really fits our area. Also, by building relationships with them. Any type of development comes to the area, we got to build a relationship with them. Make sure they have.
Zoning is so important. Developers want to come in, they need to speak with the neighborhood, see what the neighborhoods want, and go from there.
I think we have to be very intentional. And Mary is right. Zoning is critical to that. So many parts of District 5 are zoned industrial, and we're not bringing in retail businesses like we should. And so I think we have to attack this with great intent, and we have two parts. We have to make sure we work with small businesses to give them the tools that they need to succeed, and then we have to work on bringing large businesses, but not more industrial companies to our area.
Seconds. Okay. I think when we talk about underserved areas, we need the city to make the place an attractive area. In other words, we need code compliance. You know, we can't let landlords, whether they be residential, whether they be strip malls, we can't have, you know, places with broken windows, the paint peeling off the walls, cracked sidewalks, potholes in the streets. All these things affect what is an attractive area for me to move my business into. So it takes that fundamental piece to get the piece of the puzzle going.
It takes holding your council member accountable when they get in office. Gina Bibbins barefaced lied about 70 acres of land that the John T. White Neighborhood Association supported her on. It was supposed to be A21, it was A5 after all said and done. This is on document, it's not true, it should be a criminal act there. What the problem is, you want to get anything done, you first have got to get council members that are going to do what they're supposed to do. Once you ain't got to back it. We can say we want stores, we can say we want this and that. When the people downtown aren't going to give it to you or do it, you ain't done it.
I would say to first and foremost to ensure that tax dollars intended for the district are allocated effectively so that we can attract what's necessary as well as needed for the district. That's first and foremost, to put the people's interests and desires above that of prospective business developers or those who are wanting to do business in the district. You all matter first and foremost. It doesn't matter about the business, it's about the people first and foremost.
One of the blessings I have in my master's in public administration is to study regional planning and development. Out of that regional planning and development came the veranda when I interned for Mayor Odom. So this district is very unique. It has a lot of area. We have an ETJ that can be extended to attract business. But first, we got to deal with the juvenile crime inside of the area, and we also have to deal with cutting taxes for homeowners by broadening the tax base.
So I think to attract quality economic development and job opportunities, it begins with communication. We first have to know what our constituents want to see in our district. And then we also need to then lobby our economic development departments, because we have a department here in the city of Fort Worth whose sole job is to bring economic development to our city. I think we also need to leverage the mechanisms that we already have set up, like our public investment districts, which are PIDs, and our TIFs, and then also try to identify if we have bond opportunities. And then again, one of the things that our colleagues mentioned is zoning. Zoning is very important, but we need to diversify the industries that we bring to District 6.
So I would say the solution is not to spur economic development through tax abatements. The residents of Fort Worth are being overtaxed because we don't bring in enough tax revenue because of our businesses. I believe that the solution is simply us telling our story. Fort Worth is a great place to live. It's a great place to work. We have a top-tier workforce, particularly here in District 6. I can say through the Crowley ISD, our students are coming out workforce and career ready. And so I think we tell our story. I think we make sure that we have smart development as well.
All right, candidates, for this question, you'll be given 1 minute. If elected, what would be your top 3 priorities for your first year in office, starting with District 6, Mr. Davis?
So I think that it's important, again, to emphasize that this didn't necessarily come out of my desire to say what I believe the solution is for our district. It has come through talking to the individuals that reside right here in District 6. And a few of the things that I think that are important to the residents of our district are, again, safe neighborhoods. We want to make sure that we can freely move throughout our district in a safe manner. Just right here on McCart in front of this church, you would not believe the number of fatalities that has happened because we have all types of drag and street racing. We also see that issue on Risinger. So making sure that our neighborhoods are safe, economic stability for families. We need to make sure that there is more money than there is month. And it is getting more and more expensive to live in the city of Fort Worth. So we need to make sure that money is coming back or staying in the pockets of our district residents. And then lastly, smart on development. We need to invest in infrastructure. We are passing that bill on to developers, which is making it even more difficult to bring development to our district.
As I previously stated, the priorities that I have are the priorities that the citizens of District 6 have outlined. And so keeping our neighborhoods safe. We have a beautiful new police department here in our community, but we have an opportunity to get to know our officers and expand what community policing looks like and to do it effectively. We need to improve our roads and infrastructure. We have accidents, fatalities all the time because we don't have stoplights. We don't have speed bumps. We don't have the traffic or speed mitigation that we need in all of these new developments and some of our older developments as well. We need to enhance our city services. We haven't had a new fire station. I learned this from talking to one of the firemen. Our fire station has to serve all the way down Chisholm Trail, and that response time in the best situation can be 15 minutes. And so we have an opportunity there. And then economic development. When I talk to my neighbors in Como, they talk about neighborhood development. They talk about the overlay. They talk about becoming a historic neighborhood officially and what that means. And so depending on where you live is what the priorities are, and I'll be committed to working with our citizens across 6.
And the 3 priorities that I've heard from the district is, number 1 is to establish a strategic plan for the district by bringing the community together so that we can set those priorities for the district. 1 is that of cutting taxes, especially on the elderly, like in Como, where you have a house that was once $45,000 and they build a $300,000 house next to it, therefore raising their taxes because the value of that property has gone up. Number 2 is making safe neighborhoods. And 1, we got to lower the crime rate in the district. I have many of the guys that work for me for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice that also work within the district right now in the police department. I do know that they are half-staffed, so we need to staff our police department so we can do community policing. And 3rd is that of economic development. We need to attract businesses to the area by reducing crime and reducing taxes.
First and foremost, accountability for how tax dollars are spent. Again, everything is done with a single vote. Millions upon millions of dollars, week upon week. So accountability for how tax dollars are spent, stopping the wasteful spending. Do you all know that the new city hall has cost this city $333 million? Bet you didn't know that. Working with the groups who are on the front lines fighting against the literacy crisis, the ongoing literacy crisis within our city. Our city is only strong as our youth who are coming up behind us. And last but not least, advocating for the people's presence and voice in every decision that's been made down at City Hall.
Well, I guess the first thing we need to do more than ever is put power back to the people. Since Maddie's got in, she's taken power away. We used to have 4 council meetings a month with a public presentation on every one of them. You may not have used it, but you had it. It's like a gun. You never want to use it. It's a weapon. 3 minutes to speak. She took it away. We went from 12 minutes a month to speak at city council meetings to 0. 0, I tell you. There's only 2 council meetings a month, and we're not on those anymore. You know what I'd like to see y'all do? I'd like to see you call City Hall tomorrow and ask Maddie Parker, why did she remove the public presentation from the council meeting, okay? That's what we do. That's the first thing I'm going to do is go out in the meeting and ask people to help, because we can't do it alone. You had to have a voice, and you had to get up and speak and quit depending on other people doing it for you, okay? I can't do it. He can't do it. I'll tell you, there's very few of us up here have been doing our job. A lot of these people have skipped camp boot and went straight to being a colonel is what they want to be. Some of us have done the job. We've been out in the field. We've been a councilman. Thank you. Boot camp. Had it backwards.
So the question was, how do we prioritize our work for the first year? In my case, as I mentioned, this is my first foray to public service. So I would need to, first things first, get to know who is the management team of the city manager, you know, the assistant manager, the Office of Police Oversight, the secretary, the assistant city manager. Who are the people that make things happen and make sure they happen in District 5? So I would spend my first year looking at making sure that we leave no money on the table for safe and clean neighborhoods, keep my ear to the ground on what are the economic development opportunities and make sure we steer them to our district, and understand where does the city spend $2.6 billion of their budget, and make sure we leave no money on the table from that budget for our streets and our sidewalks and our signage and our landscaping. Believe it or not, we have no trees on Trinity Boulevard at all, which sounds strange, but why not? If you're building a bunch of other projects around the city, where are my trees?
Time.
To improve the aesthetics of Trinity.
So first of all, everything should be done with transparency. Citizens should know what is going on. But the top 3 things I would focus on are taxes, because many people are being taxed out of their homes, and that's a great concern around gentrification. Also, public safety, not just police, but fire. Fire has a contract coming up in October. Some of our fire stations over 60 years old. And look at what just happened in California. We don't need that happening here. And then finally, economic development. We need to create well-paying jobs and lure good businesses to District 5.
Infrastructure and overdevelopment. I mean, we're growing so fast and we're developing at a pace where the infrastructure can't support what we already had, let alone what they're developing now. I'd like to address that. Public safety would be very important. I think one of the most important things, though, would be to me to be able to meet the people in my district and all of District 5, because District 5 is huge, so they know that they have a voice in City Council that will represent them.
One of my top 3 priorities is elected as the next city councilman of District 5 is public safety. We got to continue addressing public safety when it comes to funding more policing, funding our fire and our EMS, also capital infrastructure. We got an aging infrastructure in District 5. If you drive District 5, I drive on a daily basis, we got an aging infrastructure. Our short-term solution is use our pay-go finance system that the city adopted in 2023, where they use cash and to address street maintenance funding, also community initiatives. We need more city-funded programs in District 5, and I believe I can do that.
Day one, I'm going to work not only on revitalizations, community safety, better parks, lowering taxes, creating opportunity, but I'm also going to start day one preparing District 5 for the upcoming bond proposal. Where we lose is because we don't participate in bond proposals. A lot of the problems that we complain about could be resolved if we would participate in bond proposals. So what I'm going to do, day one, is I'm going to start working to bring our district together to find out what our communities are lacking and what can we put into the upcoming bond proposal.
Well, I think it starts with in these communities, it starts with the church. So my number one goal is to go out to these ministers, go out to these administrators in these schools, and speak to them. You know, we have to find a way to bring people back. In doing COVID, we've lost some things, and we haven't regathered them back. But I think being honest with people and being truthful to them will. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to help the community. So my number one goal is to get out and talk to some of these churches and these schools and make a good effort as far as being engaged in the community.
Speaking of engagement, number one on my list would be the 2026 bond election. From historic Southside to Highland Hills, I've been getting a lot of messages about neglect. But number two is creating our own curriculum in the city of Fort Worth to hopefully be adopted by the state of Texas. But number three is cleaning up our homeless. So from Lancaster to Berry Hill to Carter Park, those are my top three. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next year, 2 years with being reelected, I'll be able to have the opportunity to continue to do the work that we have done. I'm glad you guys have talked about the bond package. We actually talked about that in work section, and I got so excited because two projects that I have been advocating for Dr. Darrell was one of them was the Risinger in Hemp Hill. We got it on the bond package. The other one was Berry Street from 287 up to Mitchell. We're going to keep working on these things. We're also going to continue to reduce homelessness and reduce crime. I will tell you, our homeless issue is not just in District 8. It is a city of Fort Worth issue. It's all across our city. And so in order to do that, we got to work with our organizations, our sub-organizations. Also, we're going to continue to build homes. I would tell you the city of Fort Worth, as any other city, it moves slow. It takes time to get things done. When I first got in office, I was able to approve several things. 250 homes are coming on Everman Parkway and Forest Hill Drive. That's because of the effort that we did on day one. Thank you.
We have about 30 minutes left. District 8 will come to you with this question. What is one of the toughest issues in your district? And how do you go about creating a change? How do you go about creating to change that tough issue?
I would say the toughest thing is we talk about what we're going to do as an individual, and I think somebody elected it earlier. It takes 6 votes to get anything done on the city council, whether it's in your district or somebody else's district. And there has been times that we have worked on getting things done in our district, but have not had the votes, such as the Citizen Oversight Board, such as homeless issues. And so the toughest thing is working with your colleagues. And so I look forward to working with whoever is elected in these 2 open seats and those who are going to come back to council, because we have to learn how to work together. That's the toughest issue, is working together.
What's the toughest issue in District 8? I would want to say the homeless issue, because the current administration thinks that the solution to the homeless issue is permanent supportive housing.
In District 8, the number one issue is homelessness. And I'm going to tell you something about that homelessness. Those homeless people leave Lancaster, they walk up Tennessee, they get their dope, and they come back down to Lancaster. That's what's going on in District 8. So if we don't stand up and stop looking around the corner, I mean, speak up. We know what's going on in District 8. It's the dope. So we don't, we ask this question all the time. It's the dope. It's the dope.
Thank you. We have a different question for District 5.
Mental health services are increasingly necessary in our communities. What can the city do to expand access to mental health resources?
Continue to work. I think the city has started some good programs, but I think we have to continue to do the work. We have to be able to address our veterans. It's sad to see people who served our country living on our streets, not a place to live. I think we need to be all hands on deck, every council district in this city. We should all come together, collaborate, and do what we have to do to treat people who have mental illness.
The only way to address them issues is provide more funding, allocate more funding towards them issues when it comes to mental health. We got to continue to work hard to provide more funding towards them issues. And the only way you can do that is allocate funding. When it comes to physical budgeting and all this stuff, we got to make sure our general funding is spent wisely, it's not wasteful spending and stuff like that. But we got to continue to allocate funding towards them in the mental health issues.
I've worked with juveniles and families in Tarrant County for more than 30 years, and so many, probably the majority, I'm going to say, have mental health issues, and it's disgraceful the lack of programming that we have for mental health. So that would definitely have to be prioritized to provide more mental health services to juveniles and families in Tarrant County, Fort Worth.
Thank you. We cannot police our way out of this issue. It is not a police issue. We have to adequately fund agencies who are properly trained and educated to handle mental illness issues, and we have to provide more programming. Again, I'm going to tell you, we cannot police our way out of this.
I think as a city, to improve access to mental health services, we need to do a better job in promoting that services are available. Most folks will not go looking for that by themselves. And so we need to do a better job promoting, and we also, in the current environment where funds are drying up from outside the city, we need to be conscious about where is that money going to come from to keep the services that we have. So I think it's a two-pronged approach, raising awareness, advertising, and make sure we have the money.
Well, money is one thing. You know, we just spent $12 million over the last 4 years keeping Bessie Price from going to jail. $5.5 million to Chief Fitzgerald, okay? We're wasting money left and right. One thing I do, the police oversight monitor is a waste of money. Why don't we use that money for something like this, okay? I really don't know what we're going to do about mental, but I know one thing. I went to meetings back in 2013 about our homeless and stuff. Nothing has been done since 13. Just meetings and talk. That's all I see. No action.
Same question.
Repeat the question, please.
Question is, mental health services are increasingly necessary in our communities. What can the city do to expand access to mental health resources?
Invest taxpayer dollars toward it.
I have a degree in also in behavioral science. Part of dealing with mental illness And you do need to take under consideration most of the mental illness is dealing with those who are using drugs. So therefore, we need to continue to fund places like Abode and different mental health services for those people that need that mental health counseling.
So that question is bigger than a 30-second response. We need mental health professionals, and we need to direct people into that profession. We also need to leverage the nonprofit sector that we have in our community to help us fix that problem, to stand in the gap. We also need to engage our school systems, because that's also another built-in opportunity for us to mitigate mental health. I think we also have an opportunity to look at surplus dollars when we do have surplus dollars in our budget. We need a budget for the issue up front, but we also need to be intentional about how we reinvest our surplus dollars.
So I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to destigmatize mental illness. Painting with a broad stroke to say that this is a result of substance abuse and all of these kinds of things. This is one of the reasons that a lot of people who are struggling with mental illness remain in bondage, because there is a stigma attached to it. So I think we need to particularly from people who are in positions of power, we have to be careful about the rhetoric that we use. More importantly, we have to elevate the services that are already being provided. We have resources in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. We have to do a better job of elevating those and ensuring that we're properly funding their missions.
We're coming to a close, and you have 30 seconds to give this audience a commercial on why they should vote for you. You can stand up, whatever you decide to do. You have 30 seconds to do it, and we're going to start with District 5.
In the middle, me?
You.
What was the question? I'm sorry, what's the question?
You have 30 seconds to give a commercial on why people should vote for you.
I've been talking for 10 minutes. Have I not said anything yet to make you vote for me? Really? Okay, 30 seconds. I really care. I've gone to meetings. I've been to bond meetings, budget meetings, all that. These people have got skills everywhere else, but not at city council. Ask these. I'd love to get a chance to ask these candidates questions, but I don't get to. First question I'd ask: how many council meetings have you spoke at? Did you spoke out about the free speech there? Did you speak out about the $5 million we gave Fitzgerald? Has any of these people been down there and speak against that? But now they want to be your council member.
In my 30 seconds?
30-second commercial.
All right. In my 30 seconds, I've come here tonight to present myself, to ask for a vote. I will be dedicated 100% to what is a full-time job. It's not a part-time job. You can't have 3 jobs. You can't do stuff on the side. There's no side hustle. So I promise you, that's all I'll be doing is sleeping and drinking and dreaming about District 5.
There was an amazing African-American playwright named Lorraine Hansberry who said, I care about it all. Today, I counted 26 gray hairs on my head, all from trying not to care. I will fight for you in District 5, and I will be an independent voice to make sure that your needs are met.
8 years I've served the public on the board of the Water District, stood up to corruption. It wasn't pretty, but I wouldn't change that experience for anything in the world. I would, I already forgot the question. Oh, the commercial. Well, vote for me because I'm a proven leader. People know my passion. I've been doing it for 15 years, and I still have a lot of fight left in me. It's not going anywhere. So choose me. I will fight for you.
I've been advocating for my community since 2005 at the age of 14. I'm committed to this role. I'm going to bring real change, real equity and inclusion to District 5. Everyone is going to be included in District 5. Every area of District, every resident of District 5 is going to be included. I'm going to be passionate, I'm going to be progressive, I'm going to be persistent and productive as your next District 5 City Councilman.
You want a voice for City Hall, you want a person that's going to listen to your concerns. I've been serving in public service for 33 years in this city. I'm ready to serve day one. I'm boots on the ground now, and when I'm elected, I will be boots on the ground, ready to work day one. We know that this is a consequential election, and I'm asking that this city pray for all of us. But when you pray for all of us, I want you to go and cast your vote for me.
District 6, Adrian.
I'll just say this to the people. Thank you first and foremost for coming out. If you vote for me, your vote will not be important if you're not involved in the process. See, that's what we do with our vote. A lot of times we vote and we just stop showing up. So a vote for me is a vote for you. I would want you all to be involved in the process, most importantly, because I can do nothing without you. Again, the people are the heartbeat of the district. The representative is just the figurehead. And in closing, if we could, I have a couple questions I want to ask to the panel.
So sorry, we don't have time.
I had them in my email.
I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to be able to address this audience. Their questions were very valid. I am going downtown in order to work for the people of District 6. My job is to do what the people want me to do. So when I go down there, understand I'm only one vote. So I have to be able to work with others in order to get the votes to get what you need in the district. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm willing to answer any question. I want to be your man downtown. I'll be responsive, I'll be reasonable, and I'll give you good leadership.
My name is Dr. Mia Hall, and what I will bring is experience, I'll bring commitment, and I'll bring impact. I have a proven track record of service, and I have a proven track record of getting results. If you elect me, what I will promise and what I'm committed to doing is, one, improving and strengthening the communication from the city into our neighborhoods, also being visible, making sure that you see me, that you can communicate with me, making sure that I engage stakeholders and organizations in our community so that we can partner and work together. And I promise to be a dedicated advocate on behalf of District 6.
So I think this race comes to one thing, and that is leadership. In the day and time in which we live, we need real leaders who are not afraid to lead in tough times and on tough issues. I am that leader. I have a track record of service. I have a commitment to you that I will be present. You should have access to your elected representative, not having to drive 30 minutes to downtown, but actually having your councilman on your corner. That is a commitment that I make to you. I am proud to have the support and the endorsement of Dr. Jared Williams, our current city councilman, and I ask for your support and your vote.
District 8.
District 8, we need transparency in District 8. At the end of the day, things hadn't been done. Things hadn't gotten done. Councilman Nettles asked, he promised y'all a grocery store. But yet I can ride from Sylvania Street all the way down to Crowley-Rendon Road. And it's only one grocery store. It's only one grocery store. So all I'm saying to you is that, think about who you're voting for when you go to the polls. It's not a game. But I tell you this, when I ride down I-35 with that promise that he made, it's a game. There ain't no grocery stores.
Time.
It's not a game, and idolatry is a waste of a sin. So when you go down to vote on May 3rd, I suggest you pick the third choice, because I'm running because code compliance is perpetuating or competing with gentrification. I'm running because our homeless population is growing out of control. I'm running because our kids can't read. I'm running because we are drowning in taxes. But that's all.
I am Councilman Chris Nettles, and it has been a privilege and an honor to represent you the last 4 years. I am the same guy who walked the streets and advocated for justice. I'm the same guy who delivered a letter to the district attorney and told them to have a case. I am the same guy who brought $418 million of investments in District 8. I am the same guy who's been fighting for each and you every day. I asked you to send me back to City Hall because one thing about me, I'm not paid, I'm not bought by anybody. I use my own money to run my election, and I appreciate you. You know what it is. Don't settle. Vote Nettles.
Let us thank all of these candidates for coming out tonight. Come on, let's put our hands together. Thank them for coming out tonight. They did an amazing job. And thank you for coming out tonight to be a part of this Baptist Minister Town Hall. We're getting ready to close in prayer. Hold what you got. Please hold what you have. Quick announcements. Check out the register booth in the hallway, register to vote. Early voting begins April 22nd to the 29th. Election day is Saturday, May 3rd. We're going to ask Pastor Emerson if he'll close us in prayer.
If you'll bow with me, please. Father, our God, we thank you now for this evening. We thank you, Lord, for each candidate that is running. We pray, oh Father, you touch their hearts and that their focus is for the people and not themselves. Help them to understand they must decrease, that you might increase. We thank you now. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.